Eagles. This is Kathy Bowden again, bringing you April's Food of the Month, the incredible edible egg. History tells us that we've always eaten eggs. Many different bird eggs of various sizes are edible. There's duck eggs, goose eggs, turkey eggs, quail, pheasant, emu, and even ostrich. But the chicken egg is the one that we'll stick with today because that's what we'll be offering you, and they are the tenderest and most tasty of all the eggs that are edible. Eggs are so popular that we traditionally use them for breakfast, but they're also great in salads. They're good as a snack. We use them in baked goods and casseroles, and you even make them when you make homemade noodles. So eggs are in so many dishes that learning how to cook with eggs is a great idea. Most of you are familiar with just your traditional eggs that you get in the grocery store. So you'll be getting a dozen of these eggs. But if you're not familiar with farm fresh eggs, take a look at the beautiful colors and sizes of eggs that you'll also be getting. So you'll be able to taste test and try the different types of eggs and make your own judgment. One of the amazing things about using an egg is you're actually encouraged to break something. So when I crack an egg, I like to do it on a solid surface. And I like to do it a couple times, and then I stick my thumbs in and carefully pull it apart. Some people like to do it on the side of a bowl, and again, pull it apart. So you may have noticed when I cracked the egg on the side of the bowl, because it's a sharp edge, it goes into the egg a little further, and therefore it broke the yolk. If you're making scrambled eggs, that doesn't really matter, but if you're doing a fried egg, you may want a whole egg. So I'm going to try again on a flat surface and see if I have a different outcome. Beautiful! So on the farm fresh egg, you'll notice that the yolk is very orange, and even the white is a little orange, and you'll notice that it holds, even the white holds together a little better. The store-bought egg, just the regular conventional egg, the egg white's pretty watery, and in this case the yolk is fairly orange. A lot of times a regular white egg in the store has more of a yellow yolk and not as orange. For scrambled eggs, it's simple. You just crack your eggs into a bowl. I just add a splash of water to make it more fluffy. Just a splash. You can also add milk if you want it to be richer. And then you can use a fork. A whisk helps you to just blend the yolk and the white together. This is when I add a little salt and pepper. Again, mix that in real good. And now you're ready to cook. So now we're going to show you how to cook your eggs. First you have to decide what you want to cook, how you want to prepare your eggs, and that'll help you decide what pan you want. If you're going to use a non-stick skillet, you need to make sure that you have some kind of a plastic spatula, because the metal spatula scratches the surface, and once it's scratched, you don't want to use them anymore because the non-stick can end up in your food. So I like this kind of a skillet for my omelet, and a lid is essential for that, and I can show you how to do that as well. My experience learning how to cook professionally was as a river guide, so I'm used to cooking on an outside stove. So what I have here is a Coleman stove. I just need to simply light it. It's using propane, and voila, it's just like your inside kitchen, only you're outside. So here we have a griddle. We're getting it warm. You want it warm but not too hot. And then you have a choice of oils. For eggs, I prefer butter because it provides a little bit more fat, and it just has that good rich milky butter flavor. But the reason you want oil is to just provide a no-stick coating on the bottom of your pan. So once your pan is hot, you can tell it's hot because the butter's boiling. You can see here my pan is scooted over, so it's not very hot there, but it's more hot here. So I'm going to reposition my pan to have it be more centrally located. Now this happens really fast. Eggs don't take very long to cook, so be ready. Have a rubber spatula so you can get all the egg goodness out of your bowl. And so just toss it in. Get out as much egg as you can. And then it's already starting to cook. Some people like to sit and let it cook for a while and then stir it. Some people like to stir it right away. So it just doesn't really matter. You just kind of try a technique that you like. You get different effects. If you want more egg solid, you can let it cook and then fold it in with each other. And then I shut it off when I get about to this point, because remember, even though you cut the heat off, your pan is still hot and your food is still cooking. So here it's a little runny on that side, so I'm just going to move that around onto the hot pan. And then again, if I were to, so right now it's all solid, I sort of like them soft. Some people like their eggs hard. I would scoot this out onto a plate as soon as possible, because if they sit there, they're going to continue to cook and get harder. So depending on how done you want your eggs. There's lots of different good things to put on top. My favorite is eggs and salsa. So I'm now going to show you how to make an omelet, because it's not a whole lot different than scrambled eggs. And if you can make an omelet for somebody, wow, you know how to cook. So for an omelet, what you want to do is stir fry your veggies ahead of time so that they're nice and soft. The onions and the bell peppers. And lids are really good for this, because remember, steam cooks things. So anytime you can capture steam in there, you'll speed up the cooking process. Okay, now that my veggies have been cooking for a little while, knowing that they're going to continue to cook as long as my pan is hot, I'm going to go ahead and put the greens on top for them to steam. I'm going to put the lid on, and then I'm going to move it off the heat and let it continue to steam while I start my omelet. So again, I got my pan hot. I sort of like to have it on high so that it gets hot around the outer edges, and then I actually take a corner of the butter so that I can hold it and rub it around the upper sides of the pan, and then I put it in the bottom and move it around so that, again, I get that oil all over the bottom. Again, remember, it's why you wash your hands before you cook, because you're probably going to be touching the food, so it's always good to wash your hands. Okay, it's getting warm. It's still just kind of melting. It's not really bubbling yet. Okay, so I have my whisked eggs, and I'm going to just pour it into the pan. Scrape out all that goodness. Now, basically, it looks the same as scrambled eggs, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just spin my pan around and get the eggs up higher on the edge. And you can see it's not sticking on this side. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit so the flames come around the pan a little more. And then we'll be able to get that side. It's sticking nice on this side, but not as much on that side. So I'm just arranging it on the heat. As soon as the pan gets hot, it'll stick. And then again, I'm going to put a lid on so that the steam helps cook the eggs, as well as the heat from the bottom from the stove. Once it gets hot, then I can move it around again. And now it's putting another coating on that first round. Again. Even less is running around. So we're getting closer, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't completely stick. You're just making a bigger omelet by letting it go up the sides. I want it to be just a little more firm, but still runny, before I'm going to shut the heat off and add the veggies. So we're going to just stir these up a little bit, get them ready. So let's go back here to the eggs. And you can see now that you sort of have a little bit of wiggle, but it's not really going anywhere. So I just want to stop cooking, slow her down. I'm going to take my veggies, and remember, an omelet is folded in half. So I am going to put these veggies on just half of the side. Okay, so they're just on half of the side. Lay my veggies in there. And now, I haven't met a cheese I don't like, so this is Swiss. It could be cheddar, it could be Jack, it could be a hot jalapeno cheese. And you can It's probably better to grate the cheese ahead of time and not over the stove, because if you get it on the stove it melts and makes a mess. But I'm trying to be careful. Okay, just spread that cheese out so it's how you want it. Again, so I'm going to put the lid back on. I'm going to put a little more heat under there because I'm melting the cheese. I'm finishing cooking the saucy part of the omelet. Okay, so now what I usually do is after I get it hot and there's steam in there, I shut it down, and I might wait a minute for it to just set there. And what happens is that steam goes around the pan and helps separate the egg from the pan, so that way it slips out super easy, because this is not a non-stick pan. So by waiting a minute or two, it's getting a little moisture around there and it's getting slippery. So, because you can see now here, it's separated from the side a little bit, but over here it's not. So then what I'll do is I'll go around the edges with my spatula. And we didn't quite wait long enough, but it's fine. And so it's kind of go under here, and then I just flip that baby in half. I like this golden buttery look to it. If you don't like that golden buttery look, if you used canola or olive oil, you probably wouldn't get that. And make sure that that side's loose, and you just slide it right onto your plate. Again, slap some salsa on there. Don't forget your garnish, a little cilantro if you like. And just imagine the red salsa with the cilantro on top. And voila, you've made somebody an omelet. They are so impressed by your cooking skills. We can't wait to find out what you're going to be cooking with your spectacular egg. We sure miss spending time with you in person. So please give us feedback on how your egg dish went, what you liked about it, and we look forward to seeing you next month with our next Food of the Month.
Hi, Pirates and Eagles. I'm Rick Hazard, your Farmer of the Month. This is Cedar Grove Farm. I've been here for almost 40 years, and this is a homestead farm. So it's not really a big production farm. It's just growing food for me and the family, the household, and then some local stuff. When I got here 40 years ago, this was all just bulldozed ground with scrubby weeds and brown grass and stuff, and there was no soil basically. And then by using animals, this is all greened up, and the soil here is getting better and better every year. But this is through animal management, chickens and goats basically, and regrowing this. The chickens do a major part on it, and the soil gets better, the grass gets taller every year now by doing this management. I sell eggs in town, and here's where the eggs come from. Still early. I have a multi-breed flock. So there's brown eggs and green-blue eggs. One of my roosters. That's the grandpa rooster. He's got the big spurs on. He's been around the longest. So my chickens here are not so much for producing eggs. Eggs are kind of a byproduct, but for the most part, they're pasture management. So these are grazing cells, and they come into an area like this. Normally I have the goats come in first and chew it down. Each morning I move these things, and then tonight they'll fertilize this. During the day they get to go in here and lay their eggs. And by feeding this way, it makes them scratch it up. So they scratch this all up, they'll be out here all day long, scratching around. This size flock, I do an area that's about, a dozen feet by a dozen feet. By using chickens here, They scratch it all up. They leave a nice mulch on the surface. The crowns are exposed and they're fertilizing, and then we move off onto the next field. And now the grass, especially this time of year, April and May, this stuff just grows like gangbusters. This will get this tall by the end of May. And then the goats will come in and knock it down. They'll rotate a few times in the summertime. And then next year, the chickens come on here again. So the grass is growing and sucking out CO2, making better soil, win-win-win situation. And then once a year, ideally it'd be twice a year, the chickens would come through and convert that into this, and then it grows right back like that. The chicken and the eggs are more of another just side benefit. Well, hope you enjoyed our little tour of my chicken raising endeavors here, and hope you enjoy the eggs, farm fresh eggs. These are still warm, and they're about one of the most nutritious foods that nature can provide. They're really good. I eat them hard-boiled, scrambled. I had some last night with my homegrown potatoes and homegrown kale. It's really good food and easy. Chickens are one of the easiest animals to raise. That's why they're so popular worldwide.